Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be broken dates, doubts, and inconsistencies. Well, I've got 4 emails that I'm going to go through with you today. First one is from a woman, but before we get into it, I got a quote I'd like to share with you that I wrote. And it says, human beings tend to project their fears, doubts, weird hang-ups, idiosyncrasies, mistakes, faults, and flaws onto other people in order to deflect blame and not take any responsibility for their own mistakes, screw-ups, and actions. It's how most people delude themselves into believing it's someone else's fault or responsibility for the problems or things that aren't going well in their lives. A key to success is taking personal responsibility for everything that happens in your life. That way you can make changes, adapt your approach, and take corrective action when necessary, instead of living a lie and getting nowhere. So let's go ahead and jump right into this woman's email. She says, "Hi Coach Corey, you've completely changed my dating techniques and I now recognize why my past 3 relationships ended. Thank you." You're welcome. It's my pleasure to help enlighten you. She says, "I'm a good-looking woman, successful, in shape, and now dating for the past 10 months after a 20-year marriage and 2 relationships following the marriage. I'm now in my 40s, and I messed up on the one I was really attracted to, which led me to your work. I've watched most of your videos and read your books. Such great advice. Thank you." Well, as far as the one goes, I've found throughout my life there actually are a lot of members of the opposite sex who are the one. But it's like when you're younger and you don't have a lot of experience, because I deal with a lot of guys that got married when they were to their high school sweetheart who they started dating when they were 15, 16, 17 years old, and they may have been together 30, 40 years, and so they never really dated around. And a lot of what keeps people in a relationship, I know like what kept me in my first marriage was just that fear that I'm not going to find anybody better. Because the person I was with, she really loved me unconditionally more than anybody else that I had ever dated. And every time that I had dated a woman who I thought was the one, I always ended up screwing it up. Obviously, I didn't know what I was doing wrong at the time, but it was actually my actions and my own fears and doubts and insecurities about myself that led me to over-pursuing, chasing women, and just literally totally turning them off within 2 to 3 dates to the point where they didn't want to take my calls anymore. She says, "I have several questions that would apply to a woman's perspective. How much of your advice applies in opposite to the woman?" Well, I mean, at the end of the day, needy behavior is going to turn you off. And I know for me, like when I first started, I got to the, because like when I was younger, it's just a beautiful woman. It was something that was a big deal to me. And the type of woman that like knocked my socks off, in my particular experience and case, was that I never really got to experience any long-term success with them. And so from my perspective, they were elusive to me. But once I really started to learn the stuff that I talk about in my book and apply it, I was actually rejecting women that were just gorgeous, where it's just literally 6 months or a year or 2 before when I had met them, my perspective was, if I could just get this girl like this, I'd be totally set for life. But what I didn't realize is there's plenty of really beautiful women that are just totally fucked up and they're yo-yos, and you're not going to want to date them because they're just not good relationship or dating material. That beautiful women actually are also insecure and messed up and have lots of problems. I remember one of the first girls I rejected was this girl who posed for Playboy. I mean, she was fucking babe. I mean, perfect body, perfect face. She was a lot of fun, but she was just a mess. Her life was a mess. Her kids were a mess. Her house was a mess. Her car was a mess. Her just totally disorganized chaos in her life. And it drove me bananas. And I remember after I blew her off, I was just thinking, God, it was just such a new experience for me. And it completely changed my perspective, because up until that point, I thought that it was just me that was totally fucked up and all the women in the world were normal. And what I realized is that most women just have a better understanding of dating, relationships, and attraction, a little bit better understanding than the average guy does. So she says her first question is, the man's needy behaviors are now sticking out like a sore thumb. Do I mention it nicely to them? Well, if you mention something like that to a guy, obviously it's going to be a big blow to his ego. He's going to take it personally. and it's probably not going to go too well. I mean, at the end of the day, you shouldn't be looking to fix these guys. You shouldn't be looking to correct their behavior. But if they are doing something that's really turning you off, then you just got to come right out and say it, because us guys, we're logically brained. Most women tend to talk in circles and use examples, but they don't really get to the point. And we're just not good at reading between the lines, especially with, obviously, most of these guys probably have never studied anything, a book like mine, or watched any kind of videos like the ones that I do to even learn this stuff. So if it's getting to the point where the guy's acting really needy and it's totally turning you off, you just tell him bluntly, honestly, say, hey, look, I really like you and I enjoy spending time with you, but the way you're acting, the way you're behaving, honestly, it's coming across to me as very needy and very insecure, and it's a total turnoff. So I would really appreciate it if you want to continue seeing me and dating me, that you cut this behavior out. Because like I said, it's a turnoff. If you keep acting like this, I'm not going to want to spend time with you anymore. And you tell them like that, bluntly, honestly, help them. Because in a lot of cases, most times, women help the guys and they tell them, but it's just guys, like, they just don't hear it. They have like a one-track mind, and they're like those little iRobot vacuum cleaners. If it's broken or defective, it just keeps trying to drive into the corner, just not getting anywhere. But the good thing for you is that you recognize what's going on, because like from my perspective, when I realized how my behavior was, how I had acted needy in the past, and when I started seeing that same behavior in women, I realized I got a totally different perspective. I now realized how my insecure, needy behavior was such a turnoff to them, because I was seeing it in women. And by that point, I just didn't want to put up with that bullshit anymore. I wanted to find a woman who had her shit together emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually. I didn't want somebody I had to fix. I didn't want a project. And that should be the same mindset that you have. So she says, this is her second question. Is it okay to call and text first, or should I wait? Absolutely. I like it when a woman reaches out to me and texts me and pursues me. I remember like the first time, I think it was 21 or 22, and I was out at a bar, and this girl that I knew, she was in my brother's class, which was 3 years behind me, and we were just talking, and she just looked me right now, and she goes, God, you're so fucking hot. And this girl was really attractive. And it was the first time in my life that a really beautiful woman said that to me. And I said, what? Which is usually, when I say something like that to the average woman, that's usually the response. She's like, what? What'd you say? It's because it's so shocking, because so few people actually say what they really think. And like for me, I know at the time, it was the first time I ever heard that. And I knew what she said, but it's like I wanted to hear her say it again, because it was really nice. So our third question is, can I ask if he's single, or is that too forward? Just give out your phone number. Say, hey, here's my phone number. You should give me a call sometime and invite me out for a drink, or invite me out for dinner. I'd love to go out with you. You're the kind of guy I'm looking for. Just come right out and say it. The dude will be shocked, and it'll take all the pressure off him, because a lot of guys are too afraid to say something like this. But the thing you got to keep in mind is, if the guy likes you and he's not saying it, he's probably, as you start to date him, is going to come off as being needy and insecure as well. But at least this way, it'll give you some more options instead of waiting around, because too many women have been conditioned by society to think, oh, you shouldn't pursue, you should sit around and wait. But women that have a lot of self-confidence, they get right to the point. They'll give out their number, or they'll ask the guy for his number. And to me, as a man, it's always a turn-on when a woman reaches out to me first. She says, do guys test girls to see if they are a match? If so, how? I don't really look at things like that I'm testing. I mean, I just observe their behavior, and I look for the red flags or the negative signs. I mean, right away when I meet a woman, I'm looking at her body language and her physiology. A woman who can't look me in the eye, or is always kind of looking down and away, or can't maintain eye contact very long, that tells me she's got self-esteem issues and she's not very confident. And if she won't look me in the eye with confidence, I'm not really interested in that, even if she really is smoking hot, because I know how it's going to create problems in the relationship. Because me personally, I'm not going to respect her. I'm not going to respect a woman that I can walk all over. And I'm a pretty headstrong guy, especially in what I do. And I really like it when I meet women who have the confidence to look me right in the eye and tell me what they think, even if it's something that they don't like. I appreciate that. Number 5, does a guy ever put the girl in friend zone, and why? sometimes if she's acting needy or you just decide that you're not interested, but at the end of the day, when a guy's not interested in a girl, he's just not going to call her and ask her out anymore. Number 6, how do I stay in my feminine when he is not remaining in his masculine? Well, it's a conscious choice. I mean, you either choose, because obviously now that you've read this stuff and you've studied it, you're aware of it. And so you should always be aware of your body language, because when you move into your masculine, as a woman, you're going to become less physically, sexually desirable to the guy that you're with, because it messes up the sexual polarity. Because it goes from him acting, because obviously a masculine guy is going to be attracted to a feminine woman. If you start acting like a masculine woman, you're just not going to be as pretty and as attractive. Nothing physically has changed about you. It's just the vibe that you're giving off. Number 7, what does it mean when he says, I'm done, I need space, I'm not attracted to you right now, maybe we can go out again? It just means that he's over it and he's not really that into you, and you should just say what I say, which is, let me know if you change your mind and walk and never look back. Maybe it's because, those are usually in response, maybe you were acting needy. And obviously, since you've been following this stuff, I mean, same things turn people off. When you're dating somebody and they act like they don't deserve to be with you, and they're constantly apologizing for themselves and constantly talking about how they don't have anything going on in their personal life and their life sucks and you probably won't like them, it just gets old after a while. You want somebody who's an equal. You want somebody that's a teammate, that's on the same level as you emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually. She says, do a man's feelings develop over time, or do they know right away? We know right away. We're visual creatures. If we look at you and we think you're hot, you're in. It's that simple. We don't care what your voice sounds like. It's just we like what we see. That's what visually stimulates us. Now, if we start talking to you and you start doing and saying things that express no self-confidence or exhibiting needy behaviors, whatever it happens to be, then yeah, we're going to get turned off and not be as interested. Or if we start talking to you and you have a high-pitched, squeaky voice, or you use the word like every 3 words in every sentence, that really gets annoying because you sound like a teenager. So let's get into the next email. This one's from a guy. And this is from a dude who was dating a woman. I guess they had about 8 different dates, and she broke one date and then kept the next date, and then the date after that she broke. And so this is an email that he got from her. And she says, hi, I'm sorry to write you, but I need to put a few things straight. I do not like the fact that we left each other on bad terms, but I will at least clarify all on my side. Now keep in mind, the longer the excuse, the bigger the lie. I initially wanted to be happy with someone and have fun. When we met the first time, I was really happy to meet someone who likes the same things as me and seems as nice as you. Remember where I said people who like the same things tend to like each other. You seem to have good values, and I was happy, but I was also confused because, as I've already mentioned, I did not see more interest from your part than you should have. I listened, and this guy's translating. He speaks another language than English, so he's translated this into English. I listened to you anyway when you reassured me, and for the first time in my life, I took the lead with someone. That's fine, but again, did you do this all of this only not to displease me? In other words, were you doing this for approval-seeking behavior is what that sounds like. Because you felt compelled to do it? You seem shy with me. Now that tells me that you seemed a little unsure of yourself. If she perceives you as being shy, that means lacking confidence, and that's going to obviously turn her off. Now keep in mind, women don't break dates with guys who they're chasing and they're crazy about and they have a hard time getting a hold of and they're having great sex with and they really want to see. And she says, on my side, I was afraid of being hurt. Yeah, any woman who's dating a guy who's weak, needy, insecure is afraid of getting hurt by him emotionally, because that's why it's a turnoff, because they know that trying to date someone that's messed up like that, it's a roller coaster ride, and it's not going to be fun. After a while, they're going to want to get off, and so when they sense that in you, because most guys tend to act this way, they're going to bolt because they know how that story ends, because they obviously, usually in their teenagers, they dated enough guys like that to know that it never ends well and always ends up with them getting hurt emotionally. That's why they bail out so quickly after only a few dates, when they see and they recognize that needy, insecure behavior. She says, in short, we had to meet and I got sick as a dog. I felt so bad, and they always feel so bad when they break a date. But the key is, if she didn't bring up rescheduling, that usually shows a lack of interest. And if a woman breaks a date because she's sick, you got to give her the benefit of the doubt and just say, hey, well, when you feel better, give me a call, we'll plan something then. A woman with a high level of attraction, she'll reach out to you and call you. But a woman who has a low level of attraction, you won't hear from her again. And a lot of guys, they just have a hard time doing it. They have a hard time just kind of putting the ball in her court and waiting on her because they're fearful that she's not going to like them. But that's what you want to know. You want to know that she's really into you. Because if she's really into you, guess what? She'll make the effort. And if she's not, she will not. And no amount of you forcing her and blowing up her phone and chasing after her is going to change that. She says, I then wrote to you and you understood. Well, I thought so, and it was okay. We saw each other again and it was great fun. But again, I did not, this is key what she says, but again, I did not feel quite like you were certain about me. It scared me, even if you told me otherwise. In other words, she's picking up on the vibe that you're making her feel when she's with you. I felt that I was your friend and that it was suitable for you, but not for me. So that in and of itself basically says that your behavior, you were turning her off. You were making her feel scared that she was going to get hurt because in essence you were lacking confidence in the way you were handling yourself. So that is very telling, as that's really why she broke the date, because you turned her off. All this other bullshit, oh, I'm afraid to get her, it's unimportant. Anyway, I was glad for the date on that Sunday, but I already had planned to talk to you about it for one last time. So it already sounds like she was thinking about ending it, and she really didn't want to go out with you. But here's the excuse of supposedly why she didn't go out with you. Then my school called me while I was with my family to say that the course that I was trying to get into this week, they have gaps in teachers, and I still paid a lot for this course. And so when you have this class one time per month, you take it. It was canceled, and they said they had a place for me this Sunday, and I was tired. I had a party to celebrate my mother, and I once again felt very bad, obviously not bad enough to keep the date, and I apologized many times. It was obviously not okay to not accompany you for sure, hence my apologies. In other words, she knows that it's not appropriate to break a date with you, but at the end of the day, she broke the date. Why? Think about it. She wants to go sit in a fucking class more than hang out with you? It's like, come on. Obviously, her emotions are not really that engaged, and you're not knocking her socks off at this point. But I do think that it went so far in your head for you. You're the only guy with whom I really got close to since my ex, and your reactions have hurt me. Obviously, I will not blame you for any of it, but I feel hurt. You were not anyone for me, and honestly, I would not have been close like that if I was not so serious at first. So in other words, I really liked you at first, and then you turned me off. It just does not make any sense. Yeah, she doesn't really understand why she's feeling wishy-washy about you when she really started out liking you. So that's the thing, is most women don't really understand this stuff. They just understand how they feel, and they respond to how they feel. You eliminated me quite easily, and it's a hard blow to take, but hey, trust is something valuable, and I respect your choice. Thank you for everything, and good luck. So my response to you in this case is to do nothing, to walk and never look back. If she reaches out to you a few weeks from now, make a date, just invite her over to your place. Don't go and do anything extravagant with her. Because again, she's broken 2 dates with you already, and it's due to your needy, insecure behavior. And how do I know? I mean, I just went through and analyzed the email and read between the lines for you. So let's get into the third guy's email. The guy says, hey Corey, I just bought your ebook and I've already read it twice so far today. Well, good job, dude. That's pretty quick. Some amazing insight in it. When I first met my ex, I did everything right in your book. I made her chase me, and eventually she was the one who suggested we become exclusive. However, that's when it all fell apart, and I eventually reverted back to being needy, depending on her, etc. And after reading your book, I can actually pinpoint the exact moment where my relationship fell apart. Hindsight is interesting stuff. Yep, it's always 20/20. But the key is that by reading the book, you're able to see where you went wrong. And so next time around, when you feel those same feelings come up, you're going to know how to respond as long as you exercise self-control. So it's her birthday coming up on Halloween, and we had booked a trip to Vegas with her and her friends. The day we broke up, I said, "Am I still invited to Vegas?" That's pretty weak on your part. I would have just said, "Well, since we're not going to be together, I'm going to go ahead and cancel my trip, my plans to Vegas, and get my money back, because obviously it'd be inappropriate to go with you and your friends." And then here's what she says. She said she would have to think about it, which always means no. Whenever a woman says, "I'll think about it," it means no. And let me know. 5 days later, she texted me and said, "It's not a good idea." Psychic like that. I texted back and simply stated, "Okay, I respect your decision. I want you to be happy. If you change your mind about me coming along to Vegas, you know where to find me." And I left it at that. I've walked away, and I'm busy with your book and trying to apply it. I already bought her a birthday present ages ago, and I'm guessing your advice is to not send it to her. Yeah, get a fucking refund and get your cash back. Should I at least send her a message to say happy birthday? No, because you're just looking for an excuse to contact her in hopes that it's going to make her want you. But you've already acted needy and you've over pursued her, so why would you think that over pursuing her more is going to make her want you? It won't. It's just going to make you look like a fucking chump. Should I not send anything at all and pretend I don't care? Well, she dumped you, dude. She's going to Vegas without you. She blew you off, and yet you still want to run after her and buy her gifts? It's like, come on, man. He says, "Or making you look like a jerk, but not acknowledging that it's her birthday." It's like, who cares? If your birthday was coming, she ain't gonna fucking call you. She kicked you to the curb, dude. So the only thing you can do in this case, if she ever reaches out to you, assume she's regretted her decision after she ran into the 97, 99% of the guys out there that don't get it, and you realize, well, this guy wasn't so bad after all. Let me call him and see what he's doing. Just invite her over to your place. Hang out, have fun, and hook up. Make dinner together. Something really simple. So let's get into the fourth and final email. Guy says, "Hey, Corey, so I like this girl. She's beautiful, and we get along really well. She's very close to me and says to me, 'I'm like your little sister.'" Well, obviously, if you like a girl and she's referring to you as like her little sister, that's not what you want to hear. And it's your fault for acting like the gay male girlfriend or her big brother instead of acting and taking action upon your feelings of attraction for her. Yet she's always touching and flirting with me, so I'm lost. When she's touching and flirting with you, just say, "You're always touching me and you're always flirting with me, so it's obvious that you have a crush on me. So I think you need to stop torturing yourself and get it over with and kiss me right now." That's how you handle it. Also, when we are out together and I flirt with other girls and I tell her like a girl that she tells me to go for them, or that I tell her I like a girl, she tells me to go for them. But after 10 minutes in conversation, she comes and cock blocks me by inserting herself into the conversation or by making things awkward. That's when you need to pull her aside and say, "Honey, it's obviously you have the hots for me and you don't like seeing me talking to other girls, so just get her with and kiss me right now and look right at her lips when you say that and then up into her eyes. Just do that." And if she gives you any kind of mumbo jumbo, then just grab her hand, spin her around, spank her in the butt and say, "Amscray, I'm talking to a cute girl here. When you figure it out, you come over and grab me and kiss me. Otherwise, you need to stop clam slamming me." He says, "I personally have not made a move on her yet because she's always saying this bullshit, 'You're my brother' nonsense. I'm confused by this girl. I've had other girls call me brother, but don't act or flirt like this girl. Well, it sounds like she likes you, but you're not manning up, and that's why she treats you like her brother. Lately, I've been keeping my distance from her and not joking around as much and not being as playful, and it's obvious she gets upset or forces herself around me. I like this girl, but I'm confused. I honestly want to get out of the friend zone with this chick. Any tips?" Yeah, do exactly what I said. When you see that behavior, you need to fucking stop screwing around and kiss me right now. And if she says, "Well, I don't like you like that," then say, "Give me your hand." And then she gives your hand, lift her arm up, spin her around, spank her on the butt, and say, "Great, come back and talk to me when you're ready to woman up and kiss me instead of acting like a little child." And go back to flirting with other girls. That's the best way to handle it. Call her out on her bullshit. And then make a move in that moment. Just like what I said, that's the best way to handle it. So if you got a question that you'd like to ask me or you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is through paid phone or Skype coaching sessions. And you can do that by going to my website. Click the Products tab, which will be at the top of your screen on any page on my website, and follow the instructions for booking a phone session or a Skype or an email session with yours truly. And I will talk to you soon.